Stop using MCP. If you're using MCP, you're doing it wrong. Stop hammering your context. It's precious. It's an art form. You need to think about how we put in the context exactly what we need. Now, the context model protocol was a cool idea that invented by Anthropic in 2024. It lets you see all the data and connect to multiple systems, and it's all discoverable by your LLM. But what it does is the implementation is bad. The context shoves that into the front of the context with higher precedence than your prompt. You're literally giving your agent a lot of documentation and telling him that's more important than what I say. You're confusing him. When have you ever needed something to have the full documentation to the API? You probably just want one operation. So not only that, the model is stochastic. It means that it's going to read that and make other decisions, and you're confusing it like hell. You wouldn't give a programmer a bunch of books and tell him read those and then write me a function to upload. So why are you asking the LLM to do that? So instead of that, write tools, little utilities that do one operation, call an API with a README and tell it to load those only when you need them. You've just solved the context, you've got deterministic, you've got repeatable, and you've got safety. And the best of it is that you can move it and migrate it and use it in many ways to get the same results. So let's click and subscribe, and let's do a deep dive, and I'll show you some of the tools that I use and how do I avoid MCP clutter. This is a Webflow. So basically, instead of using an MCP, I built a skill in the tool. Let's start looking at the skill and what did I do here. You can see this one for now, it just uploads blog posts. So I use that constantly. I don't want to do that, upload the images, check it. It does all of that automatically, fills all the metadata, does everything for me, just like an MCP tool, except this is a very specific tool. So I have this command in Claude where it can kind of drop, update, do a bunch of things. So you can see the blog post title. It actually calls the tools, it tells it how to use the tool, and then we can kind of go and see the tool. The agent tools, as you can see, I have a whole list of agent tools, and here's the Webflow upload. It has a README that explains how to call this tool. You can run it outside of Claude or whatnot, and then basically it uploads everything. A whole range of things. I've dealt with it. Sometimes I run multiple iterations to make it better. I've added unit tests. I've done a lot of things bringing my software engineering background. But you don't need that. Even just tell it, write me something to upload, and here's an API. Claude will know how to do that pretty well. So to demo this, I'm gonna show you my... So now I've actually asked, I'm gonna create a demo blog post, and we'll use the Webflow tool, and I'll show you how easy it is to actually upload something without any MCP and without context pollution. So now it's kind of running and generating the blog post. We'll see that in a second once it's finished. Now, part of my blog generation is that I go through iteration, etc. But for this case, I'm just gonna speed through all of this. So we're just gonna create a blog post really quickly. And you can see here, this is something really good. Like if you're able to work iteratively, this is a side quest, but I'm creating the content and then I iterate it. I have an outline. That's how I work. That's how sub-agents are very, very useful. So keep that in mind. Okay, it looks like it's generated a blog post. You can see the blog post here. Open it up, talking about MCP tools, etc., etc. It talks about transcription, talks about things I've done. Doesn't matter. We have a blog post, and let's see how it uploads it to Webflow. So I'm asking it to, I have a little typo there, but let me do that. And we're gonna upload that into Webflow as a draft. Let's see how it works. It's reading the README and understanding the tool itself, which is exactly what we want. It's gonna load that into the context now. There's a draft. Okay, it detects the draft. As you can see, this is way better. So here's what's gonna do. Yes, let's upload it. It's gonna run that. I'm gonna drink a little coffee while it's doing that. It's running the tool. That's it, it's in a draft. So let's go look at Webflow. So now you can see that it uploaded the MCP tool. In Webflow, you can see that. You can see the MCP tool are wasting your context. We can even preview it. and see what it looks like. You can generate images, it uploads those as well. So you get everything you get from an MCP at a fraction of the cost, and most importantly, save your context. So this is how I'm using it instead of MCP. Now I want to show you another tool, because tools are really powerful. They're not just for MCP, they do a lot more. So let's look at another tool that I built, and we'll go through the skill and the agent. So part of my automation, and this is where tools help you also automate things in a very consistent manner, is thumbnails. Each time I made a video, the thumbnail would take me hours and hours and editors, so I wanted to trim down on that. I created a skill that basically calls the tool. Again, it has a remove background, it does a bunch of things. And then on top of the skill, let's go back into here and we can see that there's the thumbnail generator. It has a readme. And in here you can see it runs a thumbnail. What it does is basically goes over my videos in the first part of the talking head, takes one out, strips the background, and generates one. So I've ran this command, and let me show you what it came up with. I ran it on an old video. You can see that it extracted keyframes from the video. It found good matching ones that it thinks are good. You can see this one looks not too bad. And then it basically generated thumbnails for me. So we can see those potentially. And here you go, it auto-generated a thumbnail from the video. It's made a little mess with the shirt, but I've got that on lockdown, and there's the quality gate that I can run in the loop. That's for another video, but this is another tool. So when you're working through stuff, try to think both not to use MCP, to build tools. Ask Claude to do that. And then the second part is build tools. They're a lot more consistent and useful, and use a skill, matching skill to that. That's a really nice pattern that lets you have consistent and modular ways, because the way of the future is orchestrating AI systems. This is how I'm orchestrating my channel. I'm building this in public. I'm sharing this knowledge on how I do. Ask it to send the same prompts. I can give you the prompts to run the same thing. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. I hope this helps.